The following show contains a fictional narrative that includes themes, events, and language that some may find distressing. Discretion is advised.
Hello, I'm Libby. The first B is silent, and I am, of course, your favorite handler and general goofy, silly goose, welcoming you this week to what it's only possible for it to be a fantastic time. Great session of us going through landscapes that could not be more impossible. We're going to introduce ourselves quickly, and then we'll have a recap, and then we'll go. We'll get right into it today. Starting off with Ty, tell us about you.
How's it going, Libby? I'm Ty. I play Deputy Marshal Reed Hollis, and he's also known as Agent Millstone, also known as Agent Stephen Charles. I think Stephen was the name I landed on, wasn't that?
It is now.
Yes, something like that. And yeah, happy to be here. Excited to get going.
Hey guys, my name's Charlie. I'm playing Adam Blackburn, also known as Agent Meridian. And I never tell his covert name, so it's Agent Baudelaire.
Hey y'all, this is Andy. I play Dr. Alexander Shoemaker, FBI forensic psychiatrist, goes by Agent Merchant, and travels as FBI Special Agent Edmund Chamberlain.
And my name is Hawk. All of the B's are silent. I am playing Agent Miranda, a.k.a. Heather Stodder, a.k.a. Hannah Cardholder, freelance computer scientist, mathematician, and all-around technical girl.
Very powerful, all the B's being silent. May have to address that later.
Because I'm a technical girl in a technical world.
Music. All right, so we'll pass to Hawk for the recap. Hit us.
Absolutely. Delta Green's M-Cell emerged from the night floors onto the top floor of the McAllister building to discover a man about to commit suicide. He promptly did so, but not before handing a note off to Reed, Agent Millstone. In the wake of that, the noise of the police chopper outside and the shouts of New York's finest caused a bit of tension among M-Cell. Agent Meridian desperately wanted to leave, knowing that what potentially awaited him was much worse than the rest of the agents. If their credentials were found lacking, it might cause some trouble for the program. For him, it would mean a return to high-security prison. He couldn't stand to go back. Talking as a cell, they determined it might be safer to risk it, and so it was that the group walked down and a NYPD senior officer met them, handcuffed them, took their gear, threw them in the back of a pair of cruisers, and took their credentials and ran them. Tents in the back of the cars, the quartet were by turns silent and slightly panicked, but their credentials held long enough for them to be interrogated by the NYPD. And although their answers were not found to be extremely persuasive, they were released. Stumbling free, headed back to the Mossy Green, their hotel, the quartet were accosted, stopped, stalled by a reporter who slipped their card into Agent Miranda's bag. At the Mossy Green Hotel, the group found that the clientele and guests of that august establishment were in a tizzy, complaining loudly, shouting at the staff at the front desk about electrical problems with plumbing, problems with air conditioning, sounding like the hotel was practically falling apart. With that in mind, they headed upstairs, their room seeming mostly okay, and started to sit down to process what had happened to them, writing in notebooks, taking a few sleep aids, cleaning their weaponry. And Agent Millstone in particular reached out and called his daughter. He had seen in the McAllister building a man waving, brandishing perhaps, a favored toy of his daughter's, a blue stuffed rabbit, if I recall correctly. He spoke briefly with his wife and then his daughter, and his daughter made mention that everything was okay, that the man had returned her rabbit. On the verge of panicking, Reed tried to get his wife to help him, let him talk to his daughter more, but she cut him off and hung up. In a rage, he was about to leave and was only stalled by Agent Merchant reaching out to him and discussing the finer points of duty and of service. It rang a little thin to both's ears, but at the end of the day, Reed chose duty, perhaps recognizing a futility in the moment. However, it wasn't the only thing that was going a little haywire, as water was spilling into the room next door, where Meridian and Miranda saw their hotel room start to flood. Rather than attempt to diagnose it, fix it, or go someplace else, Miranda decided she had had enough and proposed to Meridian and then to the others that it was time to bail. The group split in two, Meridian and Miranda heading to Miranda's home in Midtown, while Millstone and Merchant headed into Brooklyn to the squalid apartment that Agent Millstone currently occupies. A few encounters, some tense moments with family and with each other, the quartet managed to get to rest, to sleep. But in their dreams, they heard the same song, a music rising, blowing bubbles, every day blowing bubbles. Lyrics haunting and strange, taut wires lifting them, guiding them, puppeting them as they joined in a dance with the inhabitants of the McAllister building in the familiar wallpapered corridors and halls and spaces of the McAllister, until they found themselves dancing through and past each other and out onto the roof, not of the McAllister, but of the mossy green hotel. Dancing in circles, the music growing louder and louder as they danced closer and closer to the edge, Miranda stepping close to the edge, and then onto the edge, and then just past the edge and tipping over it. And Meridian reached for her wrist. And as I recall, that's where we ended.
'Tis in fact where we ended. Quite a place to choose to have a ballroom dance, although it seems like all of you didn't really choose this. You're here now. While it's of some alarm to, I would assume, both Reed and Shoemaker to be dancing together on this rooftop, certainly more alarming for one to be almost not on the rooftop. Meridian reaches out a hand to Miranda. Go ahead and if you'd like to roll athletics, I think that'd be fine. Yep. See if you can catch her.
48 under 80.
All right. That, in fact, is good enough. You saved Miranda from a pretty nasty, but maybe not lethal fall onto a pretty substantially old fire escape that you don't know if you'd saw before, or maybe it wasn't there before, or you're not sure. But all that matters is that you, in fact, did catch her. And so you hoist her back up with your hand.
The fuck were you doing?
What the fuck I don't know. Meridian, I was asleep. I'm in fucking sweats and a tank top. I don't have fucking shoes on.
Where are we right now?
She pauses and looks around, her chest rising and falling in these deep, almost heaving breaths, gulps at the air. I don't know, fuck, are we back at the Green?
Yeah, we're back at the Green.
We should establish if we sleepwalked here.
We should establish if we're sleeping. Pinch.
Do you pinch yourself?
Merchant pinches himself.
Okay, all right.
Do you think that would work, Merchant? Do you think after what we just experienced, if we were asleep, we would be able to wake up in that way? I'm not.
So there are things the mind just cannot do, right? We can't read, for example, in certain levels of sleep. Our dreams can't reconstruct text and then read that back, because that part of the brain is dormant. So if we can read things, we're not sleeping. If you can feel pain, you're not sleeping. There's parts of the brain that are just dormant. That is true whether or not we are in the McAllister still, if we're on the Green, if I'm laying in a recliner at Millstone's place, all those things, wherever we are, we're still us, right?
Reed is over to the side listening to this, and he's pulling the tag of his shirt, his like sleep t-shirt around to try to read it.
The tag of your shirt isn't there. There is, though, like a kind of like a wispy pink like cloth that you see that's kind of like where your tag should be, and it seems like it's extending into your shirt farther.
I'm gonna pull at it.
Okay. You pull on a blue cloth, and then a green cloth come out.
Oh my god.
None of you notably see this. You just see Reed furiously ripping and continually ripping at the tag of his shirt. And you just keep pulling, Reed. There's just blue and yellow and...
Millstone, what are you doing?
I'm trying to read.
You're tearing your clothes apart.
You turn back and look now, and you see that you've got the tag of your shirt has kind of been ripped in a couple different places now, and it's removed from your shirt. There's a little hole in the back of your shirt where the tag once lived.
Did I just rip it off? I'm confused.
Mm-hmm. You ripped off the tag in a lot of different ways, like very little like short bursts of ripping off tags. In your reality, you just tried to pull what seems to be one of those ever extending magician's cloth pull strings from your shirt. Yeah.
Got it.
You can't read in your dream, maybe, but you can think you're reading in your dream. You can't feel pain in your dream, but you can have dreams about being tortured. You can have dreams about being in pain, right?
Those are different experiences where you still don't experience the thing.
Correct, but how do we know what let's not get ontological. Whether we're asleep or not, I don't know that we're going to be able to establish that beyond the fact that I'm talking to you and you're talking to me and we're having a cogent conversation about something and everything seems stable in that way. The way we're going to find out if we're on the roof of the green is to figure out what's below us. We got to go try and change the scene, right? You don't walk places in dreams either, do you? You like pop in places, or you're
right,
walking is the point.
Frequently transit is part of it, but there's, again, just like you said, if you can simulate reading, which we can also simulate walking, only one of us might be experiencing this right now.
Okay, setting aside the fact that maybe
we still have only the choice of pushing forward.
Well, yeah, there's one door here. I'm not climbing down the exterior of this fucking building, dream or no.
There's a fire exit. You almost jumped onto it.
I'm not climbing down a rickety old fire escape in the middle of the night. There is a door to the stairs there. I'm trying that first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it opens. It's a push bar such that it's impossible to get stuck on the roof. So you
Great.
hit the push bar and open the door, and what appear to be normal stairs with the kind of buzzy sodium lights. They greet you when you open the door.
I wait for them. I don't say anything. I just sort of gesture almost impatiently towards it. Clearly, I think Miranda's both she's a little shaken up by the almost fall and also deeply frustrated by the situation. Almost more than she is afraid, she is annoyed and frustrated, turning towards anger. Let's fucking get out of here. And she waits for them to get within a couple of yards before she starts down the stairs herself.
Reed follows. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I am tired and I want to get back to bed.
Okay.
Visualizing my bed.
You all make your way down the stairs of this hotel, motel, Holiday Inn kind of thing. Get to the bottom, and there's no longer a plumbing / HVAC truck outside. The office is devoid of angry people, and there's not really the sound of anything you wouldn't expect to hear in a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn type establishment as this. So
do it again.
So what?
Do it again.
Are we planning on getting our rooming here like we had previous, or are we planning on?
Yo, all my shit's over at Miranda's house. I'm going back to get my stuff.
I can't tell if something wants us to be here or not, but I don't. If you all want to try the room again and see if it's magically not flooding, I'm not opposed, but...
Merchant, do you have any interest in doing that, or do you want to just head out?
I'm not feeling so well.
Let's just...
If the room is fine, I'll crash. We'll get my stuff tomorrow.
No, we're good. We'll stay, Merchant. We're not splitting up again.
Yeah. And what if by pure coincidence our shit never moved? We never moved.
Well, then our decision to leave was a fucking dream, I guess. And you talking to my dad was a fucking dream, and tomorrow he will have no memory of my fucking jacked-ass coworker showing up at our apartment.
So we try the room again, head up the elevator.
And you make your way to the elevator. I'm not sure if flinching is the thing you do when the door is open, but maybe something along that line. Something like, oh, fuck. What's behind every door? No one really understands. You get up there safely to your level, and you get out and walk your way to the hotel room that you had. Charlie, can I have you please roll sand for me?
29 under 60.
You try the key that you have. It unlocks the door, and you open the door. There's some water leakage under on the carpet, kind of where it was earlier, but it's not. It doesn't smell too bad as of yet, and it's not really like it's not causing problems actively. It's going to be a problem tomorrow, but as of right now, beds are fine, bathroom's fine, everything's good. And the same can be said about the adjoining room, because nothing ever really happened in there either, to be fair. So there are 4 beds, prime for sleeping time if you want to utilize them.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all tired at this point. We might as well go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back in there again, yeah. Meridian and Miranda are in the flooding room, as they were previously, sharing a room, and Shoemaker and, or rather Merchant and Millstone are in room 2, the dry room.
You you don't really have your things with you, but you kind of take off whatever clothes you need to, or add clothes if you've taken some off, I guess, and you begin your night of sleep. Does anybody maybe have any insomnia? Is anybody gonna wake up in the middle of the night? Is anybody having any issues with sleeping?
Reed's really dehydrated, and he reaches over begrudgingly and grabs the cardboard tag off of the very expensive water bottle sitting on the little circular kind of tray next to the bed, and just chugs the whole thing in one gulp.
Merchant, you're dead asleep, you said, or?
So, Merchant is heavily medicated and picked up a nice sleeping disorder from hitting breaking point. So
nice. So you're trying to sleep, maybe you can't.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of fading in and out where he doesn't remember falling asleep.
Yeah.
Must have, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of have a really torrid night, and at one point in one of your waking periods between sleep, you look over and you see Reed is over kind of at the little small nook that's in the hotel room that has the little baby coffee maker and little cups and I had to keep the water bottle, all those things. The water bottles are all stored over there. So you see him over there, and you just hear him, and you hear this very tactile dripping, like almost like water falling from a tap or from the ceiling or something like that. And the lamp in between the beds is on. This little buzz coming from it illuminates the room in a weird shade. And that nook is kind of behind a corner, so it's tough to tell exactly what's going on. But Reed is pretty statued there. He's pretty stuck. He's just kind of looks like he's not moving at all. And you keep hearing this dripping, this periodic dripping. And at a certain point, you're concerned because it's been about 30 or 40 seconds at this point, and Reed hasn't moved, and there's still this dripping.
Merchant will sit up and just first, bleary, try to get a better picture of what's going on. The guy's been through a lot. Give him his space.
Mm-hmm.
But what the heck is this dripping?
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing? Oh, hey, Millstone, is there a leak over there?
He just slowly turns over to you, and you can see now his face has almost got this very slack jaw looking thing about it. The dripping was probably the looks like where he pulled out his own tooth, and there was just kind of blood dripping onto the counter where the water bottles are stored. And so now there's just kind of blood dripping into this open half-drank water bottle. And again, very just kind of almost zombified. The lower jaw is dropped down, and it's very, very scary. He's just kind of looking at you now with the slack jaw.
Millstone?
Millstone speed walks towards you, water and blood mixture kind of splashing everywhere. And then just as he reaches the bed, you have to blink and you look next to you, and Millstone is now, looking very normal, sitting up in bed, he's got maybe one gulp left of a normal-looking water bottle and a normal millstone, and he looks over to you and I'm sure says something like, "What the hell, man?" as he has not experienced anything you just experienced.
I'm sorry, this is gonna sound crazy. Can you smile for me? Big toothy grin.
No. What do you want to see?
It's medically important that I see the inside of your mouth.
Yeah, I'll show
I know
you the
it sounds
inside of my
weird.
mouth. It's fucking weird here.
Are all of his teeth there?
All of his teeth are there, no sign of any wounds
Sorry.
except a canker sore.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Crazy dream from crazy dream. Must be the meds. Good night, Millstone.
Yeah. Get some rest.
You both nod in and out, probably through the rest of your evening. Meridian and Miranda, I'm assuming that, is there any RP that happens between the two of you? Any issues sleeping?
Miranda desperately tries to sleep for a while and can't. But unless Meridian is obviously up, she's not turning the light on. So she is just sort of silently stewing, staring up at the ceiling, smelling the faintly musty smell of the water in the carpet. Like the way water activates carpet pads to kind of just make them like that slightly off factory smell.
Yeah.
And just kind of chewing on her lower lip and stewing over like the fact that they're back here. Like, did they ever leave? And then that raising questions about like, did they ever leave the McAllister? Did they ever enter the McAllister? And just like spiraling about that shit until she like basically like gets mentally exhausted and just passes out.
Meridian, are you dead asleep the entire night, or?
No, probably have a hard time listening to all the noises outside. Probably peeking outside the window if there is one once in a while, just to be sure that no one's out there. But eventually would be very tired enough to nod off.
Yeah, as you lie down back in bed and up and down, looking at the window maybe and staying, and then, should I go to bed? Now I'll just look one more time. You look again, and after, a little bit of time of doing this and eventually, feeling to yourself like, okay, all right, it's 8th time, like there's nothing out there. You get back to the logic like, yep, all right, I'm bigger and badder than everything that exists most likely, and so if something comes through that door, I'm going to murder it real good, and it'll be fine. I can take care of myself. Make your way back to your bed. You hear the TV turns on in the room, clicks to life in the room. Does not stir Miranda, but you do definitely hear it. There's a show on, and it's not like all weird and creepy. There's a show on NBC. Looks like the NBC channel. It's got these two people that are talking about something. You're kind of catching bits and pieces. It's ebbing and flowing with the volume, but something like, we're really excited to have this new experimental show on this week. We've kind of had to make it smaller so that it fits on TV well. It's very long and arduous, but we think you're going to really enjoy it. And it's just kind of odd. Nothing is striking your interest about it yet. The remote's next to you. You could turn it off if you wanted to. Or try at least.
No, I will indulge the entertainment.
You kind of sit up and look around. The door's still locked and closed. Everything looks fine still. You're obviously checking. The TV keeps going. Now they've kind of moved on the soundstage. The camera has moved to what looks to be like the set of a house. And there's like a nuclear family inside, and they're all saying things very sitcom-esque to each other, and it's all very uninteresting. Until at one point there's like a shocked cry from the audience, like the screen audience in the TV show recording, and the camera turns to what is the bathroom of this home, and there's a bathtub, and it looks like the heads of 3 children are just submerged all the way in the tub. Their bodies are kind of out of the tub, and as somebody is, and they're limp, none of them are moving. The audience screams kind of pick up in intensity. People are realizing what's going on. People are rushing the stage. There's a bunch of producers that are like telling people to cut the cameras. You see from behind there's some kind of loud sound. The camera's cut out, and then your TV, after a couple of minutes of the boop, cuts out as well, turns off. Roll sand. And honestly, Merchant also roll sand. I should have made you roll sand earlier, but that was creepy as hell, so roll sand. Go ahead, Charlie.
Is that considered unnatural or violence?
Let's go with violence.
Or adapted,
You're adapted.
in this case.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
I'm adapted.
Okay.
98.
Oof. Okay.
Oof.
You lose 1 sand from seeing Reed bleeding from the mouth, slack jaw, speed walking at you. Meridian, you definitely aren't. You're still a little phased. You're adapted, but that doesn't mean you're totally numb. So it's still kind of tough to watch. And I guess that's really it. That's kind of just what happens to you quickly over the course of a couple minutes.
It's going to stir in his mind a lot and will remind him of all that he used to see.
Got it.
Bosnia, Rwanda,
Okay.
all those places. It makes no sense to him that it almost means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, moving to Miranda, you get to sleep pretty well pretty quick. You're pretty thankful. That's one of the things you do well. Heavy sleeping is a thing for you. Max is loud. So you pretty well managed to knock out pretty fast. Even with your kind of tizzy you worked yourself up into, you work yourself all the way up and then crash. Maybe a couple of minutes or maybe a couple of hours after you fall asleep, you hear the sound of rapid air exchange. You hear the sound of like maybe it's probably breathing of some variety, or maybe like some kind of very small motor just above hearing. You're not sure why you woke up to it, but it sounds like it's close to you, whatever it is.
Miranda takes a moment, rubs the skin around her eyes, sits up and slowly turns towards the sound, knowing she's not going to like what she sees.
You see in doing this that Meridian's bed is empty. The covers are kind of, disturbed. Well, it's not like it's, not been slept in, like somebody jumped out of it. And the sound of this, now you're pretty sure it's like breathing. It sounds like maybe like a dog breathing, or maybe like a marsupial or some kind of like small creature that is breathing from the bathroom. You hear it kind of echoing in the bathroom.
Get up, barefoot, feet down on a wet patch of carpet, wince, stand, shuffle, squish to the door, slowly open it.
The faucet, the bathroom faucet, like the tub faucet, is on, ever so slightly and dripping a little bit. And in the tub is a fully naked Meridian drinking from the tap on all fours. He's making this like very quick breathing sound as he's doing a very odd like lapping of the water like a dog would. And when you open the door, he turns to look at you. The moment is feral. Like you could tell you probably ought to run now, because he's about to climb over the tub and run after you on all fours.
Slam the door shut between us, and I run for the door to the hotel room. I bolt.
You hear what you assume is Meridian rushing the door, hits the door. The door is a hollow core wood door, so it's really not it's not much protection afforded. So you make your way to the front door of the hotel, or of your room rather, and on the door jamb there's between 15 and 20 different kinds of locks. Chain and ball. There's like a typical deadbolt. There's this really weird looking like latch you'd think would be used on like a farm gate. All of these, most all of these are locks that certainly have never been here before. The door to the bathroom kind of slams off the hinges. Meridian breaks through on all fours. And you see he's got like splinters of wood that are in his face and kind of in one of his eyes. And he's got a bunch of like across his shoulders and chest. And just rushes at you on all fours, drooling, mouth open, running at you. So go ahead and roll sand for me.
That's a 69 over 55.
Meridian gets all the way up to you, grips onto your shin. You feel the pain sear all the way in your kind of calf and all the way up into your knee, ripping at it, trying to like get meat off. And you wake moments later, sitting up straight, grab for your shin and your calf, which are in pain, but they're still there. And you're in bed. Meridian is in his bed, fast asleep.
Can't feel pains in dreams, my fucking ass. Fuck. Miranda gets up, walks to the front door of the room, and then she's going to go find a place to smoke a cigarette.
You get up to walk out of here, and you notice that when you swing your feet out of the covers, both of your feet are wet on the bottom, which they were not when you came to bed. You had your shoes on and avoided that wet spot before you came to bed. But maybe at this point you're just like, oh, I don't fucking know. You put your shoes on, grab your cigarettes and the lighter, and you make your way to the balcony. Front door or the door to your room, just the single deadbolt that it's always had. And the hotel thing, the thing you swing across that is like a little U or whatever. That too, but all the locks that were there before are there now. You open the door up, you head out. You find a little balcony a little ways away that has a bunch of no smoking signs and a little ashtray outside, like all the good no smoking places. And you light up and begin dragging. The moon is still out.
Just leaning on the railing, listening to the sound of Manhattan at night, like the comforting, familiar, never-ending sound of the city at night.
Yeah, I think that's probably, very reasonable. Lots of horn honking and the sound of people and the lights, and it's all very, very home and all the drone is safe. So,
yeah, polish one off, feel a little sick. She is not really a frequent smoker, so feeling a little lightheaded, makes her way back to bed. Like she's got that little buzz going on.
Yep, you make your way back in, and Meridian is still sleeping, snoring now on his back, and you hop in, close the door and lock it, I bet, and go back to sleep. You all wake up in the morning the next day feeling, not rested, but also not like you felt last night. You feel like you can address the day a little bit better, like you've regained some amount of something to equip you to handle whatever's going on in life. Maybe that was sleep. Maybe it wasn't. But you're all awake now, or so you think at least, and you've got, a delicious continental breakfast with ready eggs and waffles you make in the thing that turns upside down that we all deny that we love, but we all do.
And lots of coffee.
Yeah, copious amounts of the Javas.
Okay, Miranda's like, same clothes she slept in, right? Down at breakfast, no shoes. She said, I need to get a fucking cab back to Midtown to get my shit. Then I need a day away from the fucking McAllister, so I'm gonna hit up the city clerk's office, look for anything about the history of the McAllister, try to figure out what the Dorchester is. Just, I'm not going back there today. Sorry. Tomorrow maybe, but I'm gonna hit the fucking archives, I guess.
Now the search of the McAllister has been, and particularly Abigail's apartment, has been decreasingly fruitful. So,
well, yeah, I
understood.
think we've categorized there are threatening fucking things attached to the wall, and there's a threatening fucking door in that building. And probably the people in that building have been, I don't know.
Affected.
Affected. Thank you. Yes. Perfect. I was going to say infected, but fuck, I don't know. That doesn't feel right either.
No, certainly there were a lot of common threads among the people we talked to that would lend us to think the building has whatever's happening there is having some sway on them, and it's somewhat dangerous to be there now. So you're going to the city?
Yeah, sorry. Clerk's office. Maybe the library will have records on old newspapers and stuff I can comb through as well. So, records, man. I don't know. Gonna dig in, find out what I can about the McAllister, about the Dorchester. Yeah.
Bottle bin? Can you find the bottle bin?
Yeah, definitely. Good point. Bottle bin, Michael Whitwer, I may as well. Anything that shows up, I'll take. But it's not like it's all fucking indexed perfectly. So the McAllister will be easier. It's going to have property taxes, plats, that I don't fucking know. All the shit when you build a building, people write articles about it. Used to, at least, write a lot of them. So we'll see what I can find.
Reed's got a mouthful of eggs, and he's still chewing on them as he says, and he just couldn't seem less invested in the conversation about the McAllister. He says, today, I'm going to go see my daughter. That's what I'm doing today.
Meridian's on his fourth type of protein. I gotta go see my girl.
Okay.
I'm going to review some of the evidence we've collected.
All right.
What's the Dorchester again? The name rings a bell, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah, the jumper. That person was talking about, or the first responders were saying the people at the Dorchester will miss you. But
yeah, fuck.
So it's clearly that person has a connection there, may have a connection with the McAllister. Listen, Miranda, if I'll go with you, and if we can find the Dorchester, I'll head over there and see if maybe we can find out who that person was and if they're connected to the McAllister in some way. But if it's okay, I'll accompany you to the city office. I just have some light reading to do along the way.
Yeah, I need to change and shower, and I'm going to do that at home, so you'll have to bear with a quick trip to
Let's meet. I'm wearing the same clothes I wore yesterday. I'll head back and get my stuff, get changed, and I'll meet you there.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I also got my shit at your place too. Hope your dad's not going to freak out seeing two guys this time.
No. I've shown up with weirder people, honestly. Actually, Merchant will fit right in.
All right.
Except I have to head back to Millstone's place to get my stuff. So I'll just meet you at the city clerk's office.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. I assume that Merchant and Millstone travel back together to Millstone's house. If nothing else, if not no other reason, then Millstone unlocks the door. I assume probably he'd make sure you get your stuff and he'd watch you, but maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd unlock it.
Yeah, I do change out of my pajamas while I'm there.
Seems good. Yeah, optimal adulting.
Oh wait, no! I fell asleep in my suit.
Nice. Maybe are you
I
in the shower?
to another suit.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right. You both get kind of ready for the day, so to speak. If you'd like to shower or whatever, I'm sure you can do that, and then you put your clothes on.
For hygiene.
Yeah, that's right. Good hygiene is important.
This ain't cyberpunk.
Yeah. Chronically bad hygiene among those cyberpunks. And then Miranda and Meridian, you both head back to the old Midtown camera clock and circuit, and you gather your things. Max is very well focused on what looks to be a fish tank that he's added wheels to, and you're not sure exactly the premise there, but it's going well, and he's enthralled. So,
Max, did you hear anything last night after you went to bed?
Well, I was home, so I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I mean here, like music or anything.
Oh.
I thought there was someone out the window, but I just wanted to check and see if you heard it.
Well, I don't think so. Is it important?
Okay. No, not really, but...
Okay.
Just wanted to check. It was interesting, that's all.
Yeah, I would never... I don't tend to go out very much.
Max, I know you make it to the swap meet, and... you make it to the garage, and that's fine. No, I just meant out the window last night, if anything woke you up.
Oh.
That's all.
Nope. Nothing.
Good. Well, I am headed over to City Hall to do some research. Anything you need while I'm out?
Research on what?
Oh, it's for Citibank. It's not usually what I do for them, but they need someone to go through some old records about, I don't know, some business deal a while back. So it's bullshit, but they're paying me well enough.
Heather, do you remember anything about your mother?
I'm gonna go, Max. It's
okay.
We should talk about this.
Yeah.
Later.
Okay,
though, for sure.
Of course. Mm-hmm. He goes back. I think the fourth wheel is the problem. I'll just do 3, 1 on the front, 2 on the back, and it should be...
I kind of think it's the third wheel, Dad, but good luck.
Okay, all right.
When they get out, Miranda looks at Meridian like she expects him to have like a look of some kind on his face, like to be pitying her or something. Like she fully expects him to have like developed an opinion about this. And Charlie, it seems like she catches him in like his full-on like same stoic like expression. She sighs and goes, "Fuck, man, I miss the easy conversations,
Which ones?
Oh, I don't know, like higher order math. Hey, can you help me build this thing? My mom was not in the picture at all, and the first time in 3 months I have anybody around, he starts talking about her. Like, it feels like he brought her up because you were there, and he knew he could use that, somehow. Like, he could force me to talk about it, or like, he knew I would freak out and wouldn't want to talk about it if you were there. And it just, I don't know, maybe I'm being paranoid.
Is he using you?
Is he using me? Yeah, of course. He's, I work at his shop for a pittance, and he doesn't leave the house to buy groceries ever. I do all the cooking. He's using me. Now, it's not fucking messed up. I'm also using him. I couldn't afford to live in fucking Midtown, but I never know with Max. Like, is he doing it to get something out of me, or is he doing it because he wants us to actually talk about something and he doesn't know how to? He only knows how to think about a system and levers and how to push on people.
All I got to say is, my dad wants to talk to me. I'd listen.
I listened to him, but
I don't think that's listening. Sounds like you need a little merchant to be a third party here.
I don't need fucking merchant butting in and therapizing.
Not him.
Fucking dad.
A type, merchant type.
Yeah, I don't need his type either. We are in a position where this works. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it works, okay? And there's a lot of people who are not lucky enough to have that, and I feel that. And we are working through a bunch of stuff together, okay? But I don't know. We have bigger priorities right now, okay? I will fucking talk to him.
I get that.
Fuck. I promise you, I will ask him if he wants to go to fucking family therapy. All right? Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Families can be rough.
Well, after that very, very well-navigated conversation expires, you each make your way in separate directions.
Miranda does not want to look at Meridian right now.
Yeah, I imagine that's the case.
Couples fighting.
Yeah, or something. Yeah,
or something.
So, Meridian, you make your way to Spanish Harlem, where you know that your girl lives. It's been a place you've been to a couple of times, and so getting there isn't difficult. But you've got some anxieties. She doesn't necessarily know that you are out, so to speak. She sure as shit doesn't know that you're on any kind of mission. So there's some anxieties building up inside of you, but I'm sure some of it is excitement that you're getting to meet with, or at least see, the person you love. So you walk up, tell us about it. Tell us about how you're feeling and what you're seeing and all that.
Sonia works at a beauty shop where she does nails and some hair sometimes. Right now she's working with a client, medical mask right in front and under a light, fixing up a client real well. She pulls down her mask, revealing a little bit of sweat underneath her nose. Meridian sees a few paces further. She's not looking up. She's very focused on the nails and realize she's never changed all the time he's been inside. He looks at her with longing, shit that he wishes he'd never done or said yes to. And as she starts looking up towards the window, he just moves out of the way. Just make sure that she doesn't see him.
Yeah, wow. That's tough. That must be tough. I mean, you've spent a lot of time together, right? Like you've lived a lot of life together, or
a couple of years.
Yeah. You do see her, and maybe that gives you what little strength that you've got to keep going. And so
something to protect.
Yeah.
Something to keep alive.
At the end of the day, the idea is you'll get to go home to her at home. That's
the end goal.
Yeah, that's the hope. Well, we'll now cut over to Merchant and Miranda. You meet up at City Hall.
You look like shit.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Sorry to hear that. You need a coffee?
Lots of it.
Okay. Let me buy you one.
Thanks.
You, hey, do you know, did they brief you on Meridian's, background or anything?
No, I
Okay, I just thought because you're, you're like a doctor or a psych or whatever.
A little bit, yeah.
Shrink. Yeah, never mind. Let me get you a coffee. I was just gonna check and see what any permits they have registered for that location are here, and then probably nip over to the library and look through some old newspapers. Do you have something in mind?
Yeah, I was planning on going through looking for the Dorchester.
Okay. We don't have an address, so City Hall may not be such a good bet, but the library is actually just over that way. And she tells you where the nearest branch of the New York Public Library is, and they'll have They'll have microfilm for all the newspapers, as well as probably a public registry. We could also just check Yellow Pages.
Right. Yeah. I'll do that, and I'll give them a call and see if
they have a missing
we're investigating.
person.
We're investigating.
Yeah, doctor.
Incident.
I'll talk to you. You're a doctor.
Yep.
Back here in, let's say, 3 hours. Catch up.
Yes.
Cool. Good. See you then.
Sounds great.
Sorry, I said you should look like shit.
No, I do.
I'm dealing.
I do.
All right, so you each make your way to place of research, and briefly tell me what each of you is looking into. We'll start over with Merchant.
So Merchant absolutely goes to the library, goes right past the Yellow Pages, finds a nook in the library where not a lot of people would go, like the boring books that don't get well read.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a seat and pulls out his copy of The World Without Doors.
Okay.
And starts to read it.
Okay, great. That is a good book. How long do you want to spend reading that? Like maybe an hour or two, more than that?
Yeah, about an hour, just
okay.
Skimming it to see if there's anything about this book that, the book jumped out at him. It was this one book on this one shelf from this obnoxiously irritating human. And so...
From memory, I think it was very dog-eared and highlighted in several areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely well loved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's notes on the side, he's copying it. If there's highlighted sections, he's writing the quotes and what page they were on, and absolutely studying this thing, bringing him back to his grad school days.
Gotcha. And for our listeners, a reminder, this is that red-covered book, very intricate, got this gold on it, and upside down, like almost like castle, some upside-down trees, and then a normal cityscape below. It's by Emmeline F. Fitzroy. You spent some time reading this book. It's a pretty well written. Seems to be pretty talented author in the sense that the ideas are very outlandish, but seem like they're connected enough to reality that it's it's not goofy. It's still has an air of seriousness. The notes in the margins are kind of not super interesting to you. A lot of like, oh, this is interesting, or maybe I should come back and look at this. It's all in this red ink. And that's the only color of ink that it is in is red. The book was published in 1936 by Torbit Books. The book basically concerns a little girl named Abby, and her journeys to this magical unnamed land that she goes to. She travels there. She travels there by drowning herself, and so in the world without doors, she's kind of battling this nameless foe that's referred to as the Phantom, to free people from the dance, which is this kind of music that forces people to continue to live like boring, repetitive lives. The times that she gets caught, which is only twice, kind of toward the beginning, toward the end, she escapes by drowning herself yet again, and then she comes back to Earth from the world without doors. You see that this happens. She goes back there, and she in fact does defeat the Phantom, but she basically realizes that the world that she's in is collapsing without this music. The city's collapsing, the world's collapsing in and on itself. And so she realizes that she has to become the Phantom. So she does. She puts on the mask, and she begins the song again. And the book heavily suggests that this is a process that continues through time.
You don't say.
It's a little unnerving.
There's not a single sentence you just said that makes me feel better.
Yeah. It's a little unnerving. Is Merchant spending his kind of research time there on that, not doing a lot of library looking otherwise?
No, yeah, he's reading this book.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
I don't know how long the book is. Is that a reasonable expectation that a couple hours would be what it would take to get through the book?
Yep.
And that's what he's doing.
Yep. Couple hours. Yeah, a couple hours. The library is a decent spot for that, obviously, since it's quiet enough that you're able to focus. So yeah. You do that and realize it's about time to go meet up.
Realizing this and that he gave his word to do something else, gonna make a quick 5-minute call to the Dorchester.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. You kind of look around for a payphone and you find one and make your way over to the front to the little vestibule area and make a call. A woman picks up and says,
"Hello, this is Dorchester House." "Hello, my name is Dr. Edmund Chamberlain,
and I am following up on a report about, do y'all have someone missing from your facility?
No, nobody, no one's missing. We'd know about that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Everyone's accounted for.
Yep. Our security systems here are very high tech. Yep, we're aware. Everybody's here. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, of course. Do you have a relative or friend or something that's here with us?
No, I'm afraid I'm working in an official capacity with the FBI, and the name of your facility was mentioned in a recent crisis incident that involved, unfortunately, a death. Not much more I can say about that.
Oh.
You know, the investigation is ongoing, so I wanted to make sure that were there any recent passings in your facility or?
Oh no, yeah, nothing of that variety. But I think I should probably get you in touch with Dr. Dallin if it's FBI related.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, let me grab him for you. He's the medical director. I'll be right back.
You get put on hold for a minute, and then a man comes back that sounds like a very business professional kind of human. Not surprising that he's the medical director.
Hello, this is Dr. Dallin. How can I help you?
Hello, Dr. Edmund Chamberlain here. I'm following up on a rather unfortunate incident that involved someone's death, and the name of your facility was mentioned. And so I was just asking if there was any, if there were any recent deaths, or if there are any missing individuals from your facility, or anyone who's away from your facility right now who is normally housed there, or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. We have a pretty secure facility here. We've got some orderlies and a very high-tech system. So, no, I'm sure I would know of that, and I'm not aware. Is there something that's telling you that somebody escaped or something? Or I mean, this incident,
Yeah, the incident was very disturbing. Perhaps even it was a person who could have been a regular volunteer or even a staff member. Unfortunately, the connection to the connection is to the Dorchester. And it's an older person, maybe someone who has been hospitalized, who is normally at your facility but has had to be hospitalized for a medical crisis.
No, nothing like that. All of our staff are accounted for, and I don't even think that I've even heard them mention that their families are in any kind of trouble. We're all pretty open with each other here. I wish I could help you, and I certainly hope that there's not something that I'm missing, but no, I mean, everybody's fine.
Interesting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
If I will call back if I need anything more from you, but I appreciate your time.
No problem. You call whenever you'd like.
So Miranda, where are you going?
Going up to the city registrar's office, whatever the equivalent of the county clerk would be in the city of New York. I'm not super well researched on that to see what public permits and records they have about the lot the McAllister is on. I give them the address and say, hey, I want to pull any public records about this building. Happy to pay whatever, $10 clerk fee there may be.
The clerk is pretty happy to see somebody interested in anything she's doing here, so she is very she forgets pretty easily about the fee that she's supposed to charge. Gets kind of excited in that you are here to actually be genuinely curious. She asks to see your credentials, and once she does, she says that you can come behind the counter into the records rooms with her, because that'd be perfectly fine. She has no concerns about that. Older lady. So you want to go back there with her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, you head back with her in this big, large room, and you talk to her about the McAllister and kind of mentioned to her the plot and all that stuff. She pretty easily, you in the first, but with no role required. In the first couple of minutes, she talks to you about a company named Art Life, which is the management company that manages that whole thing. A woman named Cynthia LeChance is the one who runs that. She talks to you about the McAllister and kind of mentions that it's going to be difficult to find these records insofar as older building, and with the amount that New York is growing right now, records are kind of being misplaced, which has been a frustrating ongoing issue. So go ahead and roll. I'm cool with bureaucracy. I'm also cool with search here, since there's kind of just a large assortment of files back here.
Great. I'm slightly better at bureaucracy, so that is a 1 under 40.
That's pretty good. So yeah, you do find the original building permit from 27 May 1921. The building was first permitted as a private residence for one Henry Lundeen, who passed in April of 52. And this is when it was built. It was that same classic brownstone style. There's an addendum to the permit on the about a year after the death of Lundeen in 53 in March, where the house is refitted as an apartment building. Nothing is amiss in the records. The architect for this building is one A. Darabandi.
Darabandi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Love a recurring name.
Mm-hmm.
We saw an A. Darabandi in one of the portraits in the night floors, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's certainly someone I want to investigate. I don't remember an H. Lundeen in those portraits, though, so Darabandi stands out a bit more. I thank the clerk.
You actually there's other things that you can find here, and with the one you rolled, you do.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. She realizes for a moment that nobody ever wants to go in the blueprints room. And so she asks if you'd like to see it. She excitedly,
you have
moves
blueprints?
with
That'd be awesome.
She brings you back into this very small room that is, has not been touched in a minute based on all the dust on the light. Pulls the cord and this room full of blueprints. She tells you that they actually still have the McAllister building blueprints. She realized when she saw the permits. Again, it was originally the Lundeen house. In the blueprints, the home and then the addendum, that all looks to match. The floor plan that matches what's written down on the blueprints here. The only thing that is, I guess, a little interesting, probably a lot interesting since you have some information already, there is a single slip of this elegant cream-colored stationery, and the stationery is for the Hotel Broadalbin, and underneath it says New York City. And there's no address there, it just says New York City. The stationery has this handwritten note on it. It's definitely, it's dated correct. The ink looks like it's correct. And it says, "I saw the rooms tonight at dusk." She sees this little piece of stationery and is like, "Oh my God, I'll throw that away. I'm so sorry. That's so unprofessional." And she grabs it.
Actually, do you mind if could I hold on to that if you're just going to throw it away? I have a friend who collects old stationery. He's a bit of a weirdo, but, stamps, that sort of thing.
She pretty happily, you've made a good friend today, so she pretty happily gives it to you. She's going to throw it away. So she's like, "Sure, you can keep it, I guess."
Wonderful.
So she gives that to you. Not a whole lot else on these blueprints, other than the fact that they all match up. Did you want to look for anything else in the blueprints or the kind of regular records area?
No, I don't think so. I don't, fundamentally not an architect, and I don't think they would have electrical diagrams for a building built at this time. They put wires in. I'm not sure that they were describing cable runs and stuff. So
definitely not.
She doesn't really have anything that she's going to be digging into further there. But she does ask, would there be a way to see if there were other buildings or other permits associated with this architect, Darabandi?
She says that typically the system isn't cataloged based on architects. So it's kind of, She says you'd have more luck going to the library, generally speaking.
That's my next stop, actually.
Great. Yeah, she says that'd be the best bet. She, however, has not heard of Darabandi ever. She thinks she would have. She keeps her nose pretty deep in these books.
Sure. So
records.
He wasn't building 100 buildings in the 20s then, is what I'm hearing.
No, she doesn't say. She says no, probably not. She doesn't say definitely not. She's not.
Probably,
probably not. Yeah.
Oh, I know how that goes. I know most of the people who wrote fundamental mathematical theorems myself, but I'm sure there's one I've never heard of. There's always another thing.
A fellow nerd. She. Oh yeah. She doesn't like that. Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. She understands.
Make my way from here to the library to dig into Darabandi if I have time.
You make your way back to the library. You arrive just in time. You see Merchant on the phone, in kind of the vestibule area between the entrance, and you catch him as he's hanging up.
Architect of the McAllister was one A. Darabandi. reminded me we should look at, see if we can find those names anywhere that we saw.
Yeah, I can help.
Yeah, check the index, newspaper articles for Darabandi. Frankly, we should just ask the librarians. If anyone is going to be able to tell us how to find in the card catalog a specific architect or anything useful there, that's going to be who. But when it comes to the people, I was also thinking, we do know when Lundin died. It might be worth it to check his obituary. That should be pretty easy to find. The rest of it is going to be a lot of hunting, so we may be in for a couple hours with nothing to show for it.
Just let me know which avenue you want me to take. Or do you want to both work on both?
I'm going to check. I'll go talk to the librarians. Why don't you go look for obituaries in, let's see, it looks like 52 for a Henry Lundin. See if there's anything in his obituary.
Henry Lundin, 1952. You recall I have a fairly bad experience recently with newspapers, but I think I can do it.
Well, if that recurs, that's maybe something on its own. Also, I am in the architectural drawings, I found this, and I pull out and hand across the Brodelbin stationery. Another thing to check would just be, see if there's anything under B for Brodelbin, but newspapers are on the time again, ads, even the microfilm's the way to go.
I'll get looking.
That you both, what's your bureaucracy really fast? Both of you?
50.
40.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you basically managed to find the things you need. You check them with the librarians as needed and utilize the catalogs as needed, but you find the things you kind of want to find. Looking into Lundin, April 30th, 1952, you find the obituary. There's not a lot here. The typical things you'd find in obituaries. It does not mention family, notably, but it does mention that he passed away in the home that he loved, surrounded by his family, is what the obituary says. You believe that having an exact date and name, you could likely look into maybe criminal records, or if this is like some kind of foul play, you could look into that action if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll look into stories, maybe about it, or about him, from around the time, and from around the time the building was built. Yeah, just anything with him on it, including criminal records, public records. Yeah,
you managed to find a criminal. There's a report on this from April 30th, 1952. He was found in the staircase to the roof, dressed in strange plastic silver robes, wearing this papier-mâché mask. There was a pretty brief investigation, not really any signs of foul play. It was determined that he died of a massive stroke, so there was no foul play. There are photographs which show a fat man in a black and white, the photo is black and white, sprawled out on the third floor, wearing this expressionless white mask. Very odd.
No odd bottles in the picture?
Nope, no bottles.
Okay.
There's not really anything else about Lundin that you can find.
Okay, I'll report back.
Okay. And you were looking into Darabandi further, is that right?
Yes, and...
Yep, that's the plan.
Darabandi.
Go to the librarians and say, hey, is there any way I could find out about a specific architect from the 20s? I've got a name and a building he worked on, but that's about it. I was wondering, is there a register or a place you would recommend I check first? And I just talk through it with them until they point me in the right direction.
Yeah, you basically provided them a meal that was 95% ready to eat, and so that's way more than they usually get. So they're on it. They are on it. So they give you some really good advice on where to go to find information. So you move over to you kind of see Richard is exiting this area that kind of has more of the criminal records, like city criminal records here. And you do find stuff about Darabandi here, actually, interestingly. They're the architect of the McAllister, whose name is Asa Severin Darabandi. Asa is ASA. Severin Darabandi was born in 86. There's a little bit of information here saying that he was declared dead on 1960, so prosecution was dismissed or abandoned. However, he is suspected to have drowned at least 5 and maybe as many as 20 children between 1947 and 1950.
Okay. Did he build any other buildings?
He did. He definitely did. There are actually a couple different books on him and about his crimes. One is The Devil's Craftsman, which seems to be it's about him, directly about him. The other two that kind of concern him are called A Darkness at the Corners, and the last is Architecture, Genius, and Mental Illness. Utilizing all three of these books, you get a pretty good, and you're just skimming as best as you can, you get a pretty good understanding that he, during his early career, he was called the Picasso of architecture. He designed these kind of strange, misshapen constructions, and he called them thought buildings between 1905 and 1921 in Chicago. A couple of books note this is a religious revelation, some say a drug experience. Either way, in about 1921, he took up residence at an unnamed Midtown hotel. He erected 9 buildings in New York, and they're all still standing as of the date of publish of the most recent book. All seem to be kind of small and unassuming. There's some kind of weird, strange flourishes, but nothing that is as grandiose as what he made originally in his kind of earlier career. In his disappearance after 1950, Darabandi was accused or suspected of being drowning at least 5 children, which began in 1947. The books are speculating that he may be responsible for many more, up to 20, some say 30. He vanished without a trace in 1950 and left behind the drowned body of a 5-year-old Isabel Sauer. Lots of debts. He also left behind in a logbook, which seems to be tracking the deaths of all the children back to 1921 and many other questions. He was declared legally dead by his mother on September 2nd in 1960. As you're skimming through Devil's Craftsman, you see there's a photo in this book. A photo of what appears to be Darabandi, this kind of small, unassuming man standing in front of an Art Deco hotel with a big B emblazoned on each of the front doors. The caption reads, 1928, Darabandi lived for a time at NYC Hotel, which he helped to restore in lieu of payment. You, Heather, specifically are interested because you see a park reflected in the hotel window, which has a huge flagpole and stone base, and you recognize that is the Eternal Light flagstaff in Madison Square Park. So in theory, going to there should give you the hotel in this picture. As you are looking around Darabandi, you kind of just like haphazardly give a look in Lundin, and you see the things that Merchant saw, but notably you also catch something else. Charles Lundin, who appears to be the son of the owner of the building, so Henry's son, hung himself in the second floor ballroom in 1950 on August 30th. What remains is a lot of information about Henry Lundin, which you believe that probably Merchant found. And if not, you can come back and you can find it again.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm going to check out these 3 books and just, bring them with me.
Mm-hmm.
No reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a paper trail which will arouse any suspicion, I am sure.
This is true.
Yeah, meet back up with Merchant and say, I'm fried. Do you want to start heading back to the green?
Sounds good. I could use something to eat.
So at the Chinese restaurant around the corner, everyone sits down having gotten their food. Maybe it's even a buffet or like a hot bar or something. And over steaming piles of greasy noodles, Miranda relays what she learned at the permit office and then the library. Yeah, some dude named Henry Lundin had the building before it was divided into apartments after he died. Architects this Darabandi cat who seems pretty fucked up. She pulls out The Devil's Craftsman, A Darkness at the Corners, and Architectural Genius and Mental Illness, and like sets him down on the corner of the table and like puts her hand on top of him. Interesting enough that he has several biographies, crime of the century shit. Some of the speculation is 20 or 30 kids that this dude drowned. And that's on top of being a weird-ass architect. I mean, like, Picasso weird, right?
Like, drowned?
Drowned? Oh, yeah. So, they pretty solidly think 5 kids, but the estimations in some of the books vary between 20 and 30.
While I was waiting, I found this book in Van Fitz's apartment. It's called A World Without Doors, and it was like the book that she kept being drawn to. It was a book that was, well used, but so on and so forth. Doesn't matter. It is a book about a girl named Abby who travels to fantastical lands by drowning herself.
Okay. Wow. That is certainly an alignment of ideas. Who wrote it?
Emmeline F. Fitzroy.
Okay, that's a new name to me. He's got like 9 buildings in New York, and it kind of seems like he might have been living at the Brothel Bin, a hotel with a big B on it, over by Madison Square Park. Don't know if it's the Brothel Bin or if it's the Bon Chance or some other fucking shit hotel with a B on it, but, walks like a duck.
Right.
It's a hotel.
Probably worth swinging by the park.
Yeah, totally agreed.
So the architect was pretty jacked up. So was Lundeen. He was found when he didn't just, die in his sleep. He had a massive stroke in the stairs leading to the roof. And he was wearing a plastic silver robe and a white mask of papier mâché. That ring any bells for anyone?
Plastic robe in the 50s?
Plastics were around.
A little after that they really became popular.
Common.
Was the description specifically about plastics? Because if so, that's particularly weird. That's I think, I'm not an expert, but cutting edge maybe even. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe plastic was around then. This is weird though. So we could check out the Brothel Bin. I mean, we could certainly go case it a little bit tonight if people are up to it after dinner. It might be worth double checking at the McAllister as well. I have a bad feeling about the whole thing, of course, but specifically, I want to know if any of the occupants of the building have any particular memories or associations with this book that you pulled off of that woman, whatever her name was. It's A, a little disturbing, but B, I just want to know if they're consistent, if they're there, because this whole thing is inconsistent, and it fucking kills me. That's what gets to me the most, is there's a pattern here that is not resolving as far as I can tell.
I hate to put stock in a fiction book, right? It was written 60 years ago.
I am not drowning myself.
No, but the story of course we're looking for an Abigail, there's an Abby, there's a world, there's worlds that she travels between, and the resolution of the story, if you can call it that, is particularly disturbing. She fights this villainous phantom, and eventually, because the phantom is in control of a kind of music that traps people in a dance. And when she defeats him, she realizes that without him and without the music, the world will fall apart. And so she becomes the phantom at the end and keeps it going. Perhaps everything is inconsistent, but Mark Twain, the history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Sure. Yeah.
Consistency
everything about is the hobgoblin of small minds. We can all quote Samuel Clemens, I guess.
But
I can't.
But how many times have we heard again? Like, oh, he came again. The guy in the bar that was supposed to be on the roof talked about, oh, he's coming again. The manager of the place who talked about, who's out of time, and everything seemed so different, just kept talking about things happening again, or this time. I think there's something to the cycles that are being described here in the book, that there isn't actually a resolution. It's just the next person to become the thing.
Sure, and that's fine, but from our perspective, how do we prevent that from hurting other people? Because whatever happened to Abigail, I don't care if she's having a gaudy, grand old time right now. She's disappeared out of her family's life. And all the people in that hotel, or the McAllister, do not seem well. So something there is fucking these people up. And I guess, it's our job to fucking find some way to close that wound.
I mean, you already know the answer, don't you? And Reed's just shoveling food into his mouth again, just detached. He's just like, We all know the fucking answer, don't we? That asshole that we spoke to a few days ago. What do you think he'd tell you, knowing what we know? How do you close a wound? You fucking cauterize it.
Torch the place down.
I mean, what did he say?
Scorched earth.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be particularly hard. There's a bunch of paint thinner in the basement.
No matter
So I
where
guess
I
the
burn
question-
building.
That we need to answer for ourselves is, well, we've got a vector here that's got a bunch of nice extra little mini vectors inside of it. How comfortable are we with eliminating all of them?
The front door to the
Very.
restaurant slams open. And as you all kind of look up for the door, you see that the restaurant is empty. There's no patrons, there's no cooks, there's no waiters. There's food, but there's no people here except for all of you. And Adam Blackburn, you hear the sound of your mother's voice calling for help through the front door of the Chinese restaurant. It's pretty loud and concerning. It's not the like, oh no, it's the actively dying and needs your assistance.
Are you hearing this?
Hearing what?
Sorry, Meridian, what?
Meridian will feel something swell up within him, a mix of anger and sadness. It's Mom.
Okay. Merchant, Millstone, keep an eye. I'm going to take Meridian and we're going to look out the front door. Okay? Just make sure we know what's happening here. All right?
Yeah, fine.
All right. Mary, come on.
You get up and make your way toward the front door, glancing behind you. Well, I guess Miranda glances behind the two of you to look and see, and both Millstone and Merchant are, one is certainly more accustomed to covering the team, but the other knows that he read in textbooks and does a decently fine job. As each of you round the corner, and you look out. But when you look through that door from a distance, you see instead what looks to be kind of like the interior of Van Fitz's apartment. The only difference is that there are bookshelves that just kind of seem to zigzag on forever.
I pause and I look at the books on the shelves, trying to figure out, I have a thought to check and see what the books are, but then I turn to Meridian and say, we both see what's through this door, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meridian, the sound of your mom is no longer like shrieks of actively dying, and it's more like kind of small whimpers.
Go get the others. I'm going to keep an eye on the door. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
She's hurt.
I know. We're going, Meridian. Get Merchant. Get Millstone. We're going.
And Meridian will yell out at the other two to come over.
Okay.
Up and moving.
We're dining and dashing, fellas.
Yep.
The front doors there's two front doors. The one slammed open, and the other now just kind of almost tauntingly just slowly opens inward. And so you could see now the beginnings of an apartment. You could see a kitchen and maybe a little living room and maybe a bedroom and a bathroom and all that stuff. And then the bookcases like you saw in Van Fitz's apartment briefly that just seem to continue deeper into this apartment as it goes on and on, as far as you can see.
Where he's just we never fucking left, did we?
We've never left.
Maybe we're trapped in this. Maybe we're not. Maybe it's all a dream. Whatever it is, we're going to...
What's our plan of attack going in this room? Meridian leading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Reed.
I don't think I could...
Reed in second.
I'll let whoever wants the rear have it, and I'll be third in line.
Okay. All right.
I'll take rear.
Okay. Meridian, maybe you feel the hand of Miranda kind of on your shoulder, signifying it's, we're here. You all move in very slowly into the room. The sound of your mom is died down now, so that, again, it's just a very quiet whimper and a, please help. I'm a son, Adam. But you still hear it. You move in. Inside, just tons and tons and tons of books. They all look to be different. These massive mahogany shelves that are impeccably built, and the inside of the apartment that looks generally lived in. There's a very odd thing happening with the light. You're not sure exactly why it is the same color as fire, very red. maybe some orange, but it's adding a layer of confusion to the confusion you're already feeling with a place that shouldn't exist. It's jarring. You make your way in slowly, and Meridian, you hear the sound of your mom coming from a bedroom kind of down the hall on your right.
Like tap my ear to see like I hear stuff and point towards the room.
Miranda nods, takes her hand off his shoulder and moves past him to go through the door first.
The door is open a little bit, so there's no need to open it. It opens inward. You can see it's ajar, maybe an inch or two.
Miranda has moved past Meridian, looks back at the group, sees Reed watching behind them, sees the pain on Meridian's face, sees the exhaustion on Merchant's, and she turns to the partially open door, and she, with her back pressed against one of these mahogany shelves, pushes it open to the side as far as she can to reveal whatever's beyond.
The room looks like a normal bedroom. The red light is still present. No source of that light. Hard to see in the room super well. Even Meridian, who's kind of more square on the door, is having a tough time seeing in the room because it's a little bit bigger of a bedroom, and there's a corner that's kind of unchecked because you can't see all the angles from outside the door. But from here, it looks like the room is empty. The sound of the whimpering grows a little bit louder. Still, Meridian thinks that the sound is coming from inside the room. Maybe if there's a closet or like a walk-in closet, big closet, bathroom, something like that in there. Maybe.
All right. Miranda, seeing nothing jumping out at them, gestures for everyone to move in, and she starts pulling open doors, drawers, anything she sees, just tossing the place.
Well, you don't get that far. What is about to happen is something that most folks would say is an accurate recounting, but especially with where you are right now, who really knows? Miranda, from your perspective, you enter the bedroom and you hear the sound of heavy breathing, very heavy, almost like someone was jogging. And so you turn to look down the corner that was unchecked, and you see Van Fitz is standing there with something in her hand that's probably about the length of, I don't know, a conductor's wand. It's not very big, but it's there's something there, and it's pretty meaty. You make eye contact, and for just a split second, time really just crawls. You both get this deep tunnel vision as she turns to square on you and runs at you with what you now see is some kind of ritualistic tomahawk. She's got it over her head and moves towards you. And that's where we'll end this week.
Yay!
Oh, I'm going to
Yikes.
enjoy this one.
I think so. Meridian's probably...
Meridian's been waiting for this
Yeah.
shit.
I'm going to enjoy
He
I'm
is,
going to enjoy
He's
that one.
pissed about his mom, and he's like, "Oh, you again? Great."
Yeah, so this has been another week of This Line Isn't Secure. Yeah, y'all, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us like you always do. Things are only getting better and crazier. The project is here, and it's going to be here more. So we're happy to have you, and we hope to see you next week, as always. Toodle.
Yeah.
Toodles.
All right. Peace, y'all.
See everyone.
Good evening.
It's like those TikToks that he's like,
You must bounce on it.
have you seen that? The
Nosferatu
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that just reminded you. It just reminds me of fucking Price Master.
Yeah.
Maybe the single greatest video of all.
Dude, I showed
Yeah,
Libby.
dude.
Libby hadn't
Fucking
seen Price Master. He
died.
was like, "Fucking, this is awesome."
God bless you, Libby. That shit rules.
$1,000.
Before we sign off, I want to take a moment to talk about something very close to my heart. This podcast is about exploring darkness and fear, but in real life, those feelings can be overwhelming. I want to remind you that if you're feeling lost, lonely, or struggling, you don't have to face it alone. There are people who care about you and want to help. If you're in the U.S., you can call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, for free, confidential support 24/7. Wherever you are, there are resources and there is hope. You matter and your story matters.